Hi there, geometry students. This is Miss Hefty here. We are in section 3-2 today, and we're going to talk about angles and parallel lines. And notice in your notes, I forgot to put a 2 there, so add that to your notes. We learned these special angle pair names in section 3-1. We learned alternate interior angles, consecutive interior angles, alternate exterior angles, consecutive exterior angles, and corresponding angles. We learned where those exist when we have two lines crossed by a transversal. And let's quickly review. In my picture here, P is my transversal because it is crossing over M and N. Today we're going to look at the parallel lines. So my M and N are parallel in my picture here. I'm going to bring up Sketchpad. I'm looking at alternate interior angles. And so let me grab Sketchpad here. Here's my Sketchpad. And I have my two lines that are parallel. See right here? My two lines that are parallel, they're running horizontally. See how that's working? And I'm looking at alternate interior angles. So those are going to be between my two lines. Here's my transversal. And they're alternating back and forth across the transversal. So I'm looking at this angle and that angle there. And what do you notice about my alternate interior angles? They are equal, aren't they? And if I grab this point here, I grab this point, try to do this. I don't know why it's not doing it. There we go. This point, I'm moving it around. You guys see that? 72, 72, 69, 69, 68. So my alternate interior angles are going to be equal if my lines are parallel. So let's add that here. When I have alternate interior angles and they have parallel lines cut by a transversal, my alternate interior angles are always going to be equal. Next, we're going to look at our consecutive interior angles. Let me bring Sketchpad up. Consecutive interior angles are angles that are on the inside of my parallel lines. This is my parallel lines. This is my transversal, and they are on the same side of the transversal. So you guys see right here, those two. Now, I shouldn't have done that because you can't see those angles. 70 and 110. So what are you thinking about that? When you have consecutive interior angles, what's the rule going to be? I'm going to grab this point here, see that? Now it's 67 and 113. Now it's 74 and 106. Do you see that they're always adding to 180? So, consecutive interior angles, when I have lines parallel and it's cut by a transversal, my consecutive interior angles are supplementary. Next, I'm going to look at my alternate exterior angles in Sketchpad. Alternate exterior would be outside angles that are on each side of your transversal. So I'm looking here, and this time it's right here. And it's right there. You guys see that they're both 106? If I grab and move, now it's 112 and 112. Here's another pair, 68 and 68. So my alternate exterior angles, when lines are parallel and this cut by a transversal, my alternate exterior angles are going to be equal. Next, I'm looking at my consecutive exterior. So my consecutive exterior, oops, I'm losing stuff, guys. There we go. My consecutive exterior angles are, here are my parallel lines, there's my transversal, and they're on the same side of the transversal. So I'm looking at this one, and I'm looking at that one. I'm looking at this one here, 68. I'm looking at that one, 112. So what's the deal there? Do people see that those add up to 180? So my consecutive exterior angles, come on, there we go. My consecutive exterior angles, when I have lines parallel, my consecutive exterior angles are going to be supplementary. Computer's running slow. All right, last thing we're looking at is corresponding angles. Corresponding angles, I think my smartboard is off, is what I think. All right, corresponding angles are going to be angles that sit in the same place on the lines. Here's my parallel lines. Here's my transversal. This one's sitting on the top left. This one's sitting on the top left. Do you see, people see what's happening there? That those two are going to be equal. See if I can get my smartboard back. No, of course not. There we go. And so my corresponding angles, if I have lines parallel, my corresponding angles are going to be equal. So now I have two supplementary and the rest are equal. The consecutives are the ones that are supplementary. All the other ones are equal. All right, let's take a look at some examples, people. Find the value of the variables in each figure and explain your reason. So I'm looking at number 1. By the way, when you have double arrow like this, this means the lines are parallel. And here's my transversal. All right, so now I'm looking for my special angle pair names. This one right here and that one right there are called consecutive interior angles. Consecutive interior angles add up to 180 degrees. Right now I do not want to use those two because I have two variables. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to use my 8x minus 10 and my 7x. What's the special angle pair name for those two angles? Those two angles are called alternate interior angles. So that's my reason, alternate interior, spelling it all the way out, angles are equal. That's the rule that we've discovered. If lines are parallel and it's cut by a transversal, alternate interior angles are equal. So at this point I'm going to set them equal. 8x minus 10 equals 7x. I'm going to get my x's together. That's going to give me a negative x equals a negative 10. So x equals 10. Now that's not what they're asking me to find. They're asking me to find the value of the variables. So that is one of my answers. But I also need to find my y. At that point now, I am going to use those two like I talked about. And my reason, let me scroll down. I don't know how you guys are doing for space, but I can scroll down. That is consecutive interior angles are supplementary right, and so now I need to add those to 180. I'm going to take my 8x minus 10 plus 6y plus 20 equals 180. And so at that point, I'm going to plug my 10 in. So I've got 8 times 10 minus 10 plus 6y plus 20 is 180. I'm doing my algebra. That's 80 minus 10, 70 plus 6y plus 20 is 180. Now I got 90 plus 6y equals 180. I'm running out of room. Move this down just a little bit. Now I got 6y equals 90. And y is going to equal 15 then. So I'm showing all my steps there, people. All right, let's go on to our next problem. Number 2, I've got to find my x and my y, and so let's see here. I don't want to have two variables, so I'm looking at my x here, and I'm looking at my x expression right there. And at that point, I'm looking and thinking, what is the special angle pair name? Those would be called corresponding. Here are my two parallel lines. I see that because I see the arrows right here. That means the lines are parallel. There's my transversal. They're sitting top. This one's sitting on the top right, and this one is sitting on the top right. So they are corresponding angles. Now what's the rule for corresponding angles? They are equal. So at that point now I'm going to take my 9x plus 21 equals 11x minus 1. I'm going to get my x's together, which is going to get me 2x. I'm going to move my 1 to the other side, which is going to get me 22. So my x is 11. I found my first variable. Now I need to find my y. So here's my y. I could do this right here. I could take these two and I could say they're a linear pair and they're supplementary. That would be my justification. Or I could take this one up here and I could say that these two are consecutive interior-exterior angles. So I'm going to write that. They are consecutive exterior angles are supplementary. And so now I need to go ahead and find those. So I'm going to take my 9, x plus 21. I'm going to add it to my 5. My 5y minus 5 equals 180. And so at this point now I've got 9 times 11 plus 21 plus 5y minus 5 is 180. I'm going to have 99 plus 21 minus 5. That's going to get me 115 plus 5y equals 180. Move my 115. 5y is 65. So y ends up equaling 13. So I've got 13 for y and 11 for x. I've boxed in my answers. On this next problem, we're going to skip this problem, but just be a heads up in your homework. Sometimes they're going to ask you for the angles, so you have to go back and unplug those into the equations and find the different angles. And then those would be degrees in your answers. Let's take a look at the last one. We need to find angle. It says find x, but we need to find angle 1 is what we need to do. So I need to find this whole angle, and it says draw an auxiliary line. So what your auxiliary line is it's going to be a line right through the vertex of angle 1 parallel to the other two angles. So right now I've split angle 1 actually into two angles. I've got this angle here, and I've got this angle down here. When we're looking at the red angle, I'm actually looking at that right there. This is 62. This part is going to be 62 as well because of alternate interior angles. When I look at the bottom here, when I want to find this piece, looking at this line and that line to be parallel. This angle and this angle are consecutive interior angles, so they add to 180. So I'm going to take 180 minus 144. That angle there is going to be 36 then. So this angle is 36. So my angle 1 actually has the red angle of 62 and the blue angle of 36. So the measure of angle 1 equals 62 plus 36. My measure of angle 1 equals 98, and degrees is the angle, so I should be putting a degree symbol there, people. All right, you guys have a great night, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.